you're expected to take sides in and then pay for if you're not hearing the other side. So with that in mind, here's Patrick Lancaster. Patrick Lancaster, thank you so much for joining us. So you're one of the only, maybe the only American reporter embedded with Russian troops in this war. How long have you been there?
Hi, Tucker. It's really an honor to be on here with you to show a little bit to the world about what the mainstream media doesn't want a lot of the people around the world to see. So it's really great, and I appreciate the invitation. I have been covering this conflict, this war, for a lot longer than many people understand that it's going on. As you know, this didn't start 3 years ago. It started in 2014. Some say even before, but for all intents and purposes, we could say 2014 when the war started, following the events in Crimea, where Crimea joins or rejoins Russia, because there was a referendum. That's where I first started reporting on the situation between Russia and Ukraine. I went to Crimea for the referendum where the Crimean people voted to break away from Ukraine and join Russia, or rejoin Russia, because before 1956, Crimea was part of Russia. So I mean, if you think about this, the people that were born before that year were born in Russia. So there's people living that were born in Russia that were literally so happy to be joining Russia again, going home, as the people on the streets told me when I was there. And I've been there almost every year reporting since then as well. But that's what really triggered my interest and intensity in reporting on the situation between Ukraine and Russia, because when I went from Europe to Crimea and saw the huge difference in what was being reported in the Western mainstream media about the real situation in Crimea. We're hearing in the West how Russian forces were going to be making people vote to break away from Ukraine and join Russia. And I saw just the total opposite. People just crying out of happiness to have the chance to rejoin Russia. And those are the real facts. And anyone that has been to Crimea knows that. And anyone that says something besides that is just not telling the truth and trying to hide the truth. And unfortunately, after the events in Crimea, where they joined, the northern regions of Donetsk and Lugansk ended up becoming part of what you could say a civil war, where they as well had a referendum to break away from Ukraine. And that preceded the 8-year civil war, where after the vote, the republics that they called themselves Donetsk and Lugansk People's Republics started to make their own governments, make their own militaries, and they were attacked after this referendum by Ukraine. And I spent 8 years covering the situation in the Donetsk and Lugansk areas, just documenting my part of the puzzle, or the pie, that wasn't being shown in the Western mainstream media. Because what I was showing then and now, what Western mainstream media doesn't, it's not convenient for them to show. It doesn't fit their narrative. So I documented what they weren't: the indiscriminate shelling of residential areas by Ukraine, the targeting of civilian areas by Ukraine. I mean, my wife is from Donetsk, and her childhood home was destroyed by Ukrainian shelling, as well as the majority of her childhood neighborhood.